prioritize your sleep. Put the phones away like an hour before. Make sure that you're like reading a book or meditating. And then we would talk about like getting up in the morning. Don't grab the phone the first thing. If you have to get up 30 minutes earlier, we live in sunshine, so get out in the morning, first thing, go put your feet in some grass, and because that first sunlight in the morning, that actually helps our serotonin, which helps us to sleep better, which then we're going to.
Well, hello, MOMnation. I am back. It's Real Estate Katie here with another episode of Live and Learn. Nikki, I have to tell you, I think we've done like 200 Live and Learn episodes. Isn't that crazy?
I love it, Katie.
Right? Like over the years, we've just had so many amazing moms want to teach us so many amazing things, show us new skills, share with us specialized pieces of knowledge, like just things to help us out. And we have done it now a couple of hundred times. I'm sure of it. I'm sure Ashley will be like, no, it's 198. But I'm pretty sure it's close to 200.
Right. That's a lot of goodness.
It is a lot of greatness for sure. And I'm excited to jump into your topic because, Nikki, I don't know about you, but I'm on social media quite frequently. And I know you're there because I see you. But, throughout all these groups that I'm in on all these platforms, I am constantly seeing posts from moms that are tired. They wake up tired. They're tired all day. They're like pounding the coffee, you know the jokes and the memes and the things, but it's real. It's like for real.
It's real.
You see it too?
Oh yeah.
The struggle is real. So Nikki's going to go over some mama hacks with us today to help free us from that. And before we get started, I just wanted to say a quick hello and a big shout out to my friend Marcy Sawyer with Barn of Crafts. Speaking of mama hacks, she's amazing. Do you know Marcy? Have you seen anything that she's done, or have you followed Barn of Crafts at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're woodworking, actual Barn of Crafts. Like, I've been to the barn. It really truly exists. And they make anything that you can imagine out of wood. If you can dream it, they can make it. I mean, gosh, they've made Jenga games for me, like for gifts for clients, like backyard Jenga games. They made my mother-in-law this awesome sign it was her grandchildren's name, got it for her for Christmas. And it was like in the form of Scrabble. I don't know if you saw that floating around, but I was super proud about it. So I posted a bunch. That was around Christmas time. They've done a lot of barn doors. I see them doing a lot of barn doors for people, floating shelves. They've also just opened up kind of a new branch to their company, and it's called Barn of Education. And they make educational tools. So total mama hack. I love having Marcy Sawyer in my back pocket for custom gifts, for things for the house, and now for educational tools for the kids. Like, Marcy, what can't you do? That's what I want to know. What can't you do? So big shout out to her there. So Nikki, let's do it. Let's jump right into it. Talk to us about tired mamas. You said you had the top 3 reasons why moms typically struggle with energy.
Okay, so here we are, almost the afternoon. Like, think about yourself right now of maybe even at like 1 o'clock where you kind of hit that slump. Like, you probably turn into like this grizzly bear in the pantry, right? That you're just like this grizzly bear just searching. And typically it's because, people aren't, they're consuming way too much caffeine, and then they're not getting enough nutrients. So then that turns us into mama bears, like really like grizzly mama. And then we're like ravaging, and so the typical American plan, is that they go to whatever Starbucks or something, grab a coffee.
Or Dutch Brothers. I think Dutch Brothers is like the big rage.
Right here. Okay. Yeah. So Dutch Brothers. And then, I just think that people are just kind of on that hamster wheel, that they're not eating enough. They're consuming too many, different carbohydrates that are actually not fueling our body, that are actually like slowing us down. And so there's a lot to that, whether we're I love this. Whether we're like working or we have kids or like now it's summer and, and just so like have a plan for us and them. Like, I think we really got to be really strategic if we want to be like fun, happy mom instead of exhausted mom, laying on the
Irritable
couch,
mom.
playing games,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that was a huge giant thing that I feel like you were kind of tiptoeing in right there. And I want to talk about that real quick. So popular misconception, at least it was my popular misconception for like over half my life, is that if you don't eat, well, that's a quick way of losing weight. Bada boom. Just, drink water and coffee or whatever. And all of a sudden you're going to be skinny and happy. But it's like works the opposite, doesn't it?
It does. And I'm still like, trying to, as much as I've done, this my whole life too. And I have 5 kids, so, it's your summer, mamas, like it's your summer. It's your time to like take care of you. And, so we have some tips. We have some hacks for that. So some of the other reasons too, that we're not, having enough energy is that, well, one, we're not prioritizing our sleep.
That's giant too. And that can be hard, especially for newer moms that their kids aren't sleeping through the night yet. So that's a struggle.
Or you have teenagers that come home at, 2 a.m. because of their job.
Or other things. And you're
right.
sitting up waiting. Yeah.
Right. Or you have to haul them. But so I think, so the top 3 that I think that I'd want to go here really quick is, of course, sleep, right? We want to help understand prioritizing sleep. And I mean, I haven't been a good sleeper like my whole life. But sleep actually, that, it really influences our energy, and so I guess the tip on sleep that I would have is, because I still work on this every day, I was like scheduling it out, like we schedule whatever, putting our kids, in lessons and stuff. Like, here's my biggest thing today is like prioritize your sleep. Put the phones away like an hour before. Make sure that you're like reading a book or meditating. And then we would talk about like getting up in the morning. Don't grab the phone the first thing. If you have to get up 30 minutes earlier, we live in sunshine, so get out in the morning, first thing, go put your feet in some grass, and because that first sunlight in the morning, that actually helps our serotonin, which helps us to sleep better, which then we're going to be able to, get up better and have more energy. So,
and be more patient. And I love what you said about putting the phone down about an hour before you plan to go to bed, because I think not a lot of people realize that having eyes on screen, I think this even counts for television, having eyes on screen actually aids in keeping you up. So it works against you if you're, wanting to fall asleep at a certain time.
Right. So yes. So there's tip number 1, sleep. Oh, and then I guess this would go along with it. So then number 2 would be your nutrition. Like, these are just things, for you to just look at, of like, kind of give yourself a gauge of like, okay, where am I at? Since we're going into summer, right? We want to make this summer, like, you feel good, you feel energized. So nutrition is a big one. I'm just going off by my notes here, but having that proper nutrition, like I said, of fueling your body first, during the day, instead of waiting all into the night, which I'm speaking to myself lately. And so, but that proper nutrition, one of those is knowing, like, what supplements. I know that having magnesium at night is huge, to help for your sleep, part of that nutrition. Also your, what we're eating, like a lot of people are eating out. So that means we're eating a lot of like foods that have the bad seed oils. So that creates more inflammation for us. And inflammation actually regulates your hormones, so that's your serotonin, your dopamine, like all these. I mean, it just is So your food and nutrition, to clean up. So if you want to repair your energy, make sure you're focusing first thing in the morning on fats in your proteins, which most people aren't. They're going to grab that, coffee with the creamer,
Coffee and a muffin.
a
Yeah.
donut muffin, and so that just creates a hole that, your glucose. I mean, there's just a ton of things on nutrition that we could like touch on there, but that will spike your glucose, and so your morning, I know this might seem like a lot for some people, but there's just a couple things, that if you got on like this, it will start helping your energy levels versus, trying to drink the 5 Red Bulls a day or, the 3 cups of coffee, thinking that that's going to keep you going throughout the day, which I'm going to add this in. Your caffeine, the coffee, it can actually block some of those nutrients from your body absorbing those.
Yeah, that's something huge that not a lot of people know about. And I totally agree on your suggestion about getting your nutrition in order. And that's not something that, they don't teach you that in school. So that's not something that personally I was super familiar with. And I ended up actually, my trainer is also a certified dietitian or registered dietitian. I don't know what the term exactly is, but she knows food and nutrition. Okay. And so she taught me all about macros, which was really game changing for me. So that way I knew how to track and I knew that I was getting the proper amount of good carbs because we can fit anything into our macros, right? And we like, is it a piece of pizza or is it, more appropriate carb? And she taught me about how to get the right amount for my goals. And so my goals, of what I wanted my body to look like, how I wanted to feel. And she helped me learn about that, which was giant because I had no idea. I mean, again, they don't teach you in school, really. I mean, you learn about the 4 fruit groups, I think is what we learned about. And now that's BS. And, it changes all the time. So what the heck? And then another thing that you mentioned that I think is super important, I just wanted to throw out like a really quick hack here, is definitely your protein in the morning. That's something that I learned from my gal too. And that's something that I do, but I protein shake it up. And it is easy and it doesn't take too long. I just couple of scoops in my water. And of course I have, a particular protein and I've chosen that based on a few different things. It's not just any old protein. But that's what I do in the morning and, take that with 12 ounces of water. So I'm getting my water. I drink more water than that, but it's a really good boost right when I get up in the morning. So anyway, that's my little tip.
Yeah. And with that too, Katie, make sure that you're, when people are picking like a meal replacement or protein, I do have an app that like shows, kind of cleaner products. And so to make sure like that your fiber, there's more fiber, and you also want to have your adaptions, which helps with stress. So if, anyways, so I do
like
that
antioxidants.
Well, your adaptions are more like your mushrooms, like your different mushrooms, because that, it helps with your insulin. And then it also helps, keep the insulin level, but it also helps with your stress load. So those adaptions and fiber are huge to have, first thing in the morning, because then that's working with that stress load too. Okay. So I know we're running out of time. So actually the third one that would probably keep us from not having energy is toxin load. Huge toxins. So, and one of that helps us get toxins out is being hydrated. So our hydration, living here in Arizona, like our hydration is huge, right? And so we know that we need to, I was carrying like a water bottle around with, but also not, and I've learned a ton here too, that water is like, we need water, but we also need those electrolytes. So your potassium, your sodium. So to make sure that those are balanced in. But again, like the toxin, your toxin load, whether that's from our environment, all the smoke that they've had here lately, our cosmetics, like our lotions, our shampoos, those kind of things. So really, we do have, if somebody just wants more information on toxic load, we can help them with that too. But, and then I'm just going to add in one more, like movement, our movement, whether that's, getting, my favorite right now is to get out on the river. So if anybody wants to go paddleboarding, like I'm your gal. Like,
yeah, we need to set up an event for that.
Yes. Okay. I'll do it. So movement. Yes. So that helps get your heart rate, your blood flowing, releases those happy endorphins, which will actually raise your energy levels. So those
absolutely. I totally agree with that. I work out every single day, so totally agree. And that's just as of late, like the last, 2023, I probably started that in 2019. So it hasn't been very long. It's just been the last couple of years of my life, but I've noticed a giant difference and I actually miss it. So if I have a day where, I'm not feeling well, so I don't work out that day, I totally miss it. It's really, really weird. And I do feel more tired than when I actually, get on the elliptical or get on the weight bench. But one thing that I wanted to kind of circle back to, and I know you probably have some hacks that you want to talk about real quick, but back to the toxin level. What I learned recently, again, like took me 44 years to learn this, almost 44. I will be 44 in a few days. So 43 and change. Okay. But moms don't poop enough. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Like once a day, ladies, or once every other day is not nearly enough. You are not moving what needs to be moved in there, and you are not getting rid of what needs to be out of there. And so I feel like it's really important to say, get on, Nikki was talking about fiber. She maybe has a hack for this too, but get on something that is going to help you go. I mean, what would you say at minimum, like at least 3 times a day? If we eat 3 times a day?
Right. And I think the average, like you said, they don't even, go once a day.
Some don't. And that's alarming.
And that can keep you really sluggish if you're not, keeping things moving, and, letting the body do its process then.
Yeah. But and another thing is sweat. I know we do everything that we can to not sweat, but it's not bad for you guys. It's good for you. It gets the toxins out. So, hop in a sauna and just let it rip. So definitely agree with water intake so that you're going, number 1 often, fiber, whatever it is you need to do your number 2 often, and then let them sweat, babes, because I feel like that's another thing that we don't do that is really helpful, that our body, a process that our body uses to rid itself of toxins. Am I right? Or am I off base here?
Right. So one of those toxins too is actually, I learned that my caffeine sensitivity has helped me huge, like knowing my caffeine sensitivity. There's actually a test that can tell you, like, all 5 of my kids know their caffeine sensitivity. So I have children, like my 23-year-old, like he can actually, his body uses caffeine his body goes through it pretty quick. So he can actually tolerate about 4 cups of coffee when he doesn't drink coffee. But then I have another daughter, that her caffeine sensitivity is like a saucer. Like hers basically says, no caffeine. So knowing my caffeine sensitivity has helped tremendously with my energy, which you'd think that, but if we're actually consuming too much, it can actually be working against our body.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore then it puts us on that, that hamster wheel of that we think that we need more, whatever it's Red Bulls or coffee, that it actually causes, a lot of, it doesn't help our sleep patterns. I'll put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually in my report, I shouldn't have caffeine after 12. So if I want a good sleep, knowing that, that I'm like, oh, I probably need some of that, energy at about 3 when I'm going to go, do the kid thing, pick up kids. But knowing that now that's actually going to interrupt with my sleep pattern, which is going to, put me later sleeping. So then I'm gonna have to get up early, and be more. So it's kind of that cycle. So knowing these, little things about your body, is huge.
So you're talking about a test.
Right. A test that will actually
Talk to us about this test.
it actually tells like I said, how sensitive you are to caffeine, how well your body because we each have a genetic marker that it will test of how well our body can use up caffeine. And so if our caffeine load if we're consuming too much, like I said, then it would work against our body, which creates more inflammation. And inflammation, like we got, if we can keep our inflammation down, that's like the trigger for so many diseases, autoimmune, so inflammation is huge to, control. And that caffeine actually, contributes to that inflammation. And if we don't know, so we could actually be doing too much.
That makes sense. I'll ask my question better. What kind of a test is this and where can we get it?
Oh, okay. So it's a genetic DNA test. So it's like a cheek swab, and it tells how, like I said, it will give you a 48-page report, and one of those markers is about caffeine. And it also talks about, like your energy. Like I have, my own specific like blueprint for my body of like how my body, those specific those specific steps that are going to help me with my energy levels. So yeah, and you can just order it from me, and then we give you like your genetic action plan. And so knowing that, of your caffeine load, that's one of those markers.
So let me back up just for people who might not be completely clear about what you do. So what you're saying is that things do not affect everybody the same. So what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're, the caffeine levels, all the hydration, all that stuff, like we're not all the same, right?
Right. Oh, right. Even you and your sister, even you and your mom, you would still have so many similar, genetic markers, but yet you would have some that are different. And, especially you and your husband, right? Like we're trying to give our husbands certain things like that we're taking. And oh gosh, they're like, twice as big as you. They're a man. Like, they have each person does have their own, own individual levels and markers. And so to know that, like, that can help huge for your energy levels to know specifically.
I think that's a giant piece of information just in and of itself, because again, prior to learning a whole lot of stuff later on in life, I thought, hey, if it's good for her, it must be good for me too. Or if this is working for her, well, it's probably going to work for me too. And how frustrating is that? Like, for instance, weight loss. So a lot of mamas struggle with weight loss, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing that my friend is doing, and she's having all of these results, and I'm having very little results or no results at all. And that's really defeating. So, so what you're telling me is not all human bodies are created equally.
No, right. So like, for instance, well, I know we got to go here, but so my daughter that's 19. So when she does go to like Dutch Bros, and we go out with her friends and they would grab their drink, she has learned that she gets sick every time she goes there, and that's the one where her genetic marker is she basically says, she cannot even tolerate like a saucer full, where her brother can handle like 4 cupfuls, and so her knowing that at a younger age, like now she knows, that, okay, if I go get this drink with, this much caffeine and then this much sugar content, that might be why I feel so poopy for 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. That actually happened to my husband. He was, for a long time, he would eat like, a piece of pizza or whatever, a hamburger, and he would feel like absolute crap until he realized that he needs to be gluten-free. And now it's like a whole new world for him, right? So I think it's really important that we, as moms, I feel like we don't pay enough attention to ourselves to begin with. And that's really a bummer. I don't know why we ever started doing that or where we learned that from, but it's like that silly little cliche when you're in the airplane, you know, you got to put your oxygen mask on before you put anybody else's on. You got to help yourself first. And I think a lot of times that we forget that as moms, that we have to help ourselves first, because that's our biggest goal is to be there 100% for our families, right? Typically, most of us.
Right.
But we're really cheating them and ourselves that if we're not paying attention to ourselves and our needs first, is kind of my thought.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was going to leave it with today, of like, let this summer, like, put you first.
Yeah. It's
Put
about
you
time we
first.
start doing that as moms.
That's
Really,
right.
really is. So how can our ladies hook up with you and hook up with this test and find out more about themselves, Nikki?
Okay, so I'm just on Facebook, Nikki Stratton, and we'll put a link in down there for like a video and the QR code. You know, if you comment that, you know, and we visit that you watched our energy segment, then there'll be, you know, an extra savings on there for that.
Awesome.
But
Yeah, shoot me over that link and I'll pop it in the show notes, because I don't have it on the live version here right now, but I can edit that. So send it on over and I'll pop it in for you ladies. Thank you so much for being with us today, Nikki. It was awesome to learn a few things. I wish I would have known you in my 30s. I didn't know this stuff in my 30s.
Yeah, but you're coming on to 50, so then you're going to just rock it.
Exactly. 50 is the new 30, right, Nikki?
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you guys out there. And if you want to check out, if you caught us at the beginning of the show, I was telling Nikki that I think I've done like 200 of these live and learns so far. So if you want to check out any of our previous live and learns, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at MOMnation USA. That is our handle. And you can flip around. We've got a bunch of playlists there, but if you scroll down just a little bit, you will see the live and learn playlist. And that's where there's a gazillion videos. Nikki's will be there as well. If you are more of the audio type, you run a lot, right, Nikki? We got to run, we got to walk, we got to get out there and move our body.
Right.
So if we're doing that, then, and you want to hear us in your earbuds instead, then hop on over to your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for MOMnation Talk Radio. And there, our channel works a bit differently than other podcast channels. We put all of our shows through that particular channel. It's not just the one show. So you can catch everything, all of us, all our lives, all our things, all our shows over on MOMnation Talk Radio. All right, guys, until next time. Bye.